Hello, I'm Micaiah Stevens from Haven Studios. This is a devlog for Hamlet. Oh, gotta click over here. Okay, so this is our old, kind of an old website for our Hamlet, but it's kind of our company image right now, including our fiery cat. The Steam page is probably the best source of information. We'll get their website updated when we're sort of ready to go. Anyways, you can reach Micaiah at support@havenstudios.net. This is our public email address, so we felt it was a great way to contact me publicly. And if you want to send a direct message, this would be a great way to do it as well. Or through here, I'm through YouTube or wherever you're seeing this, because I'm happy to communicate with people. Anyway, so we're talking about a devlog. This is kind of the list of things we want to talk about. So we want to talk about a little bit about the introduction, which is kind of where we're at right now. So part of the introduction, well, I guess I sort of redid this, but part of the introduction is through the devlogs. We want to talk about some of the inspirations we had, including the Equilinox by ThinkMatrix. We really enjoyed watching his, he had a devlog through the Java language, but we really enjoyed his talking about the devlog for almost a year now. And then we actually finally got to play his game on our gaming channel. Once it came out, we said, hey, this would be a great gaming kickoff to our gaming channel. So we played quite a few videos of the Equilinox. It wasn't sort of like, it was fun to follow, but it wasn't in the, wasn't in the, in Unity, and it wasn't in C Sharp. It wasn't. I think it. No, it wasn't even in Unity. So it was like it was just fun to watch the devlog, and you know, there's like maybe some other, like for instance, I should have looked up his. Um, I believe the I'll have a link for all the in the description on the YouTube, but Stephen Barr actually does have it's kind of a new. He's a newer, which I'm kind of hope. So both these kind of gave me the inspiration to do them. Where it's like they have anyway, so Stephen Barr is actually doing a walking simulator. It's kind of, it's only put out a second video, so it's really cool. But it's getting kind of early in his development. He's kind of showing the gameplay from the start, or game development from the start, and that's really awesome. It's sort of I'm not sure what the appropriate word is, but it's sort of there. You aspire to be. I aspire to be like those devlogs, but both of them have, really good establishing shots and, face cams, and they have a lot of really cool ideas behind it. And we're kind of like, well, we're not quite there yet, but we're still going to hopefully focus on, we have a fun bug as one of our, well, I guess Star Citizen does that as well. They have their bug devlogs. Anyway, so hopefully ours will be kind of similar. So we wanted to talk about the Steam page. So you can just go through the store and just type in Hamlet, and you can actually purchase the game, or you can buy the demo. We always feel like we talked about the money. We picked up X4 and returned it. So we're saving up the money for Hamlet, and it's not part of the through the Steam account. Anyways, this is kind of the early access of the Hamlet. This is kind of an interesting thing about this devlog, is since we've put this off for a while, we have pretty far in development. Well, actually, not that far, but anyway. So we have a lot of Haven Studios talked a lot about the early access. It's sort of the process you follow through, so it really helps. You know, put out the content in such a way that so hopefully it will give people the idea that it's in early access. We're doing a little bit different with the pre-alpha, and then hopefully. Anyway, so we did want to showcase some of the demo. This is the beta branch through the 0.08 update. So I'm sure most people are familiar with. Sorry, I get distracted so easily. It's a bad thing. It was just a demo. Oh yeah, it's I need to do a lot more with the images, and I've done a lot with the Steam page, but I do need to do a lot more. Anyway, so we've pushed out the 0.08 update. and we were talking with a programming buddy of mine, and we were like, man, we really want to get the beta branch out. And so we actually since we're working on the release for the Steam, we looked at the beta and we actually realized it was quite easy. The sort of caveat to that is like even though it's a beta branch, it's not considered for us. It's not considered beta content. It's just a Steam terminology that we've hopefully. But one of the things we sort of to get to the beta branch, you click on the properties, you go into the beta, and you opt into the beta branch. There's no password or code. The only sort of difference for us is that when you double click on this and you just click on play Hamlet, it comes back and gives you an error. This is basically we have two launch options, and this one just points to um, the old executable that when you go back to the version 0.02, and the versions have nothing to do with anything. I mean, people commented the only, we're just, you know, but yeah, and like when it goes to alpha, we'll probably change the versioning to, hey, we're in alpha and version 0.1 or something, and it's just internally to keep track of the data. Anyway, so that didn't work, but you just need to do is click on the beta branch, which we actually intend to do right now. So then that loads up the game and starts the Unity, which is is the loader for the beta branch. Partly there's two separate launch options, and I'm not sure the exact process to do what we want to do without and we think it's really cool to go we're hoping we have a separate build of the game, and we want that to link, but it's nice to signify the fact that's why we kept that there, because it's nice to signify, hey, you're loading up the beta branch of the game, and it's like but it sort of gives you, anyway, so you can just this kind of the 0.08 update, or well, I guess we call it the 0.8 update, which is kind of whoops. Anyways. Anyway, so we have we're going to talk about Sandbox pretty soon. So, anyways, you just click on the game. If you haven't played the game before, this is kind of a quick demo. I do like the transition, that the camera goes into the transition. I think that was sort of, yeah. Anyways, it transitions into the sort of, it's really kind of one of those nice features. You can left click, select your character, and then you issue orders by right clicking, and then you find paths, and that's the game. We're talking a little bit about selection, but the blue box is kind of a nice indicator that you're on the character selected, but it's not. It's kind of temporary right now. We do have a really in a different project. We have this a way to sort of do a silhouette of the character and various things, so that would be cool too. But it's a little ways away. Anyway, so from there, where are we at in terms of here? Let me get back to this. So okay, so we talked about the Steam. You can play it there, and hopefully it's $9.99 on Steam. You can also do the demo. The demo is the 0.02 version. It was quite old now, and maybe we'll get that updated at some point. But it's free, so you can check it out and sort of see what the game is sort of plays out. Even though there's not a lot of content, but anyways, and so we I think it was like a couple months ago, we opened up everything on Steam. I think that was in October, and then we worked on the new update for the 0.08 update, and then it took a couple months, and part of that was because of the winter break, and we take December and focus on introspective on ourselves, and what what we've done for the year, so it took a little bit longer. Anyway, so we're back. So one of the things that also delayed was a bug, and we thought it would be fun to sort of talk about the bug, and sort of it's maybe not the best example, but it really showcases development, I think, and it's like anyway, so let's get right into the bug. It's this this screenshot here. It's just a screenshot. This is the local build. I guess I could have included this actually in the. Now that I think about it, I could have included this image into the presentation. But anyways, we had a new build with the campaign and sandbox, and then we put it out there, and then when we built the actual executable, because we did a lot of testing in the Unity, and then we actually did a build. This is what it came like, and we're like, that's strange. And so, anyways, part of the development, it's like you're like, hey, I think I know what's wrong, and I was like, hey, it's got to be the scriptural objects, because even though scriptural objects are really awesome, and I believe I'm getting the name right, but Richard Fine, and his online name is SuperPig. We'll have a link hopefully in the description below. He's one of the programmers or developers at Unity. He had this really awesome, it was quite a while ago now, but he had this really awesome article about scriptural objects are the future down with MonoBehaviour. And we thought, hey, it's been really awesome, but it's been like maybe a couple, 3 years of working with scriptural objects, but there are some problems with scriptural objects, and we are having some difficulty in because we're doing them like normally. What you do is you create scriptural objects at runtime, like or at build time, in the editor. You're like, hey, I want a like in SuperPig's. I don't think I can call him that, but I know that's his. It's like, hey, that's his, like, I'm McCaven, he's SuperPig. But anyways, he creates a tank scriptural object, but he creates it at the dev time, and then ships that with the project. What we are doing is creating scriptural objects on the fly, and I think it's really awesome. But sometimes, because it speeds up development and makes it easier, but it does present some problems. So, anyways, I think we're just too focused on that, and then after. And so one of the things we did is we took the map, the nodes, and created a separate test project. It only took us about an hour to test it, and we put everything out there. We're like, hey, now we'll know for sure this is scriptural objects, and we did that. Everything worked. Everything loaded, or the tiny little portion of it loaded, like the nodes loaded, the map loaded. We could and we built when we built the game. That's sort of it. Like in this, I was thinking about this recently. This is a tile, but I'm not actually sure if this is the mouse tile, if this is the prefab. It's probably not the prefab because those are disabled, but the gray sort of indicates it's a mouse. But I can't sort of look at this object in the game because it's like in a. Although we actually have more code to sort of say what is this object, and more debug code now to say like the objects and give the ideas on them, and we'll hopefully have more as we come. Anyway, so we were like, oh, so once we figured out that wasn't the problem, then we started looking at we started trying to replicate it in the editor, and we found that we had this line of code 65 here, which is kind of, I'm not sure if it's I'm not sure. And that's one thing I love about programming is that you track down in programming. It's like if there's a bug with the scriptural objects or some way you're using them, it's like it's 100%. In this case, it's 100% my fault. Well, I mean, it's mostly my fault because that's what I love about programming and development. It's like in this case, because it's like in the bigger teams, you can't, it's harder and harder to do that, but it's also more and more important to sort of track these things down. It's not to place blame or figure out, it's just trying to figure out what went wrong. And it actually helps me, I think, be a better developer. Like, oh, that's sort of the takeaway for this, is like not to be so focused on the oh, I definitely know what's wrong, and that's like, but I do also kind of get into that point, like, as a programmer, it's like I have to really make these quick judgment calls and figure out what's wrong, and usually I'm pretty good about it, but then sometimes anyway. So but we are sort of in an environment. We're in the Visual Studio. We're using the material from Unity Engine, which you can't, if you right click, you can go to the implementation of this, which is kind of just the header file, it used to be called, but it's just like this assembly that you get all this stuff. Anyway, so we and a lot of people, what they do is they create the material in the editor. I guess we can actually show, I mean, it's not that important, but you just right click, go create material, and that creates a material, and then you assign it like, hey, we want a red material or something for error. And anyway, so we wanted a class to set this up automatically, and so we found that if you do the shader.find, and this is actually was loading material, a material correctly, but it wasn't actually it wasn't and it was displaying it in the editor, but when we built the project, it was not displaying that material, and that was the problem. And so we just created this default material and put this as the we load anyway. I didn't want to show all the code, but anyways, we load a default material and then assign the material, and then we have access to it, and that fixed the bug. So that was really cool. So that was a fun little bug. We learned kind of a lot about not focusing on what it's good to focus on what you think the problem is, but then also sort of not. And it's kind of one of those. I spent a couple, quite a couple days fretting over scriptural objects, even though it's like, I think I feel a lot better about it though. That's sort of a good takeaway for me. Even though I spent a couple days focusing on it, I feel a lot better about scriptural objects. I just kicked off a new, was re-upping another project, and it was like I was like, oh, hey, I'm not worried about scriptural objects at all, because I know that there are some concerns with them, but they're in development, they work, and then as we get further, we can move more away from scriptural objects. Anyway, so we're going to talk about some in development. Let me focus on this for 1 second. It's kind of a big caveat here. This is in development, and it's not in develop with an E. I shouldn't make fun of myself. I pretty much re-recorded this for this, and then for the V was a capital V. Anyways, these are, that's probably why it takes me a little bit longer to put out content, put out dev, because it's like I get so sidetracked on some of these things. Anyway, so one of the things that I want to talk about was that these are in development. A lot of these are not promised. We have various methods to try to give people I can't think of the words. Sorry. Give people the right mindset of, hey, this is future. But as developers, I'm fairly excited that you guys are kind of people can understand that development is not. It's kind of early. So, anyways, I want to show the up here on the starting Hamlet. Oh, did I? I don't think here. Let me. I do this a lot, and I set up these videos. I record them a couple times, and then I come back, and I'm like, oh, I didn't fix it, didn't reset it to the old way it should be doing it. Anyway, so we're loading up this. This is kind of what it looks like in the editor. We thought this was really cool. We do the scan of the objects, and now in the editor, since we're in the editor, we can see our error text. Or in this case, it's not an error. It's just saying, hey, the tile is in use. And speaking of those, wait, how do I do it? Come on, there it is. Speaking of which, now we can say that the reason it's oh, it's definitely a common. Maybe I should focus on that because it's kind of a brain fart, but it's a common trait for me, like. And especially in is free, as we've been talking quite a bit about recently, is like, so this is signifying that node at 6.2 is free. It's like and then it's like it's used is a really great example of like, hey, but anyways, and I came over here and I'm like, wait, why is free as false? And that means that there's a building. I think it's because there's it's not a building. I think these are buildings. Anyways, so it's just sort of brain farted out for a second that was the case. Anyway, so one of the things in development, it's like, hey, I need to look at some sandbox feature, or and stuff like that, and it's like I want to play. This is my scene that I load, but I want to load the sandbox of it, and it's like it sort of I had two separate scenes and all this. It was like way too complicated. So anyway, it's kind of a bad preface for this, but anyways, we actually came up with this really nice way to sort of say, hey, here, let me. I'm not really that. Part of this is not. I don't want to showcase a ton of code, because it's like this is like production code that's like going out there to the world. Anyway, so. We have this game type, which is sandbox campaign, and then we'll include the roguelike maybe next. But anyway, so we set it up to that if we're not in a type, we load the campaign. Now we want to test the sandbox. So we're just saying, hey, load the sandbox. Oh, here, let me Control S that just in case. you know, one of my good, I don't know if well, one of the YouTube tutorials out there is, one of his one of his phrases is, he's like, "We have trust issues," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I definitely, just people in general." But you can see that it's now in the sandbox mode. It's doing this loading of the sandbox, and that's sort of it. Like, if I need to now start testing out the sandbox and seeing the, some of the sensitivity is a little. We need to adjust some of that. I guess even we get a little disappointed by it. But anyway, so it's like, hey, now I can sort of test out Sandbox without going in through this menu and creating all this. So it just makes it really nice to be able to switch. And that's one of the things we actually spent a little bit of time. We had these, and then you can actually go. And then we actually disabled our infamous windscreen. Yeah, discovered. Which there's a lot more discoveries. So, anyways, yeah. So it's really nice. Oh no, sorry, I'm going away. So one of the things. Anyways, so we talked about the in development, but one of the major features is that's kind of all. Oops, that's all the 0.08 code. This is kind of now the 0.09 update. So this is actually sort of the same idea, but it actually has a ground plane that it's loading in first, and then you can actually walk around. There's actually an interesting bug that we would actually not be able to move, even though it's like there's nothing impeding the movement. And it was like partly because of these are actually gardens. They're actually kind of really need a lot more work, or they're actually more grass tiles and various tiles. Anyways, that it's going to be a little bit more work. So one of the big 0.09 features that we actually added this to 0.08, and we're actually not sure if we're going to call this a bug or a bug fix, because it was like it wasn't really called out the fact that, but anyways, well, it was called out that we have rivers, which is this is a river. I think you can actually do that same. Was it this? I don't remember the key. Oh, maybe not. Oh, I thought I could. Huh. Anyways, so we're kind of almost way too excited to have water now. And the cool thing about this, and this is kind of the bug, is that you can actually walk. Well, you can walk into it, which is kind of the bug fix. But it's actually now you can actually sit into the water. So I think that's really cool. So anyway, so one of the really unreleased features is this sort of character dialogue. You can now walk up to people and talk to them. It's all part of this roguelike idea. You can bump into these walls, which give you various scenes. And then let's go to, oh yeah, I'm like, oh, do I have to walk? Anyway, so now the tree, you can actually just walk into the tree, but we need an axe. Since we're sort of in this sandbox mode, basically. So we know we need an axe, and then if you open up this chest, it says, hey, now we equipped an axe, and it's used to cut down trees. So now, and we actually have an axe in our character, or kind of hard to see with the camera angles and stuff. Anyway, so now we can walk up. Oh, there's a, I think it's, yeah, is there a second tree? Yeah, if there's a second tree. We've actually been trying to work on code to sort of say, hey, if there's too many trees around. And I do believe the particles are actually new. Yeah, it's like, it's fighting this, trying to find the right angle of the camera. There's probably a whole nother devlog discussion. But yeah, so we can see now that we have cool particles, and we can actually, which will work on the 0.0, in the campaign and the sandbox through the RTS elements, we're calling them. Anyway, so that's kind of the planned idea right now. And then I guess we should talk a little bit. Let me get. I commented when my programming, kind of the same programming buddy. I'm like, man, the world's too big now. Anyway, so we have sand, and then we have this light. It's we're calling it sea. Yeah, it's called the sea. It's just sort of like, it's sort of like, it's like it's kind of a biome type thing where it's like you have grass and that goes into sand, and then goes into sea, and then out there the dark blue is the deep ocean. Maybe we should swap those two. I don't know. We're still working on the idea of what to have for our materials and our displaying of water. We don't like, there's a ton of options out there, but we just don't like any of the ones we're seeing. And then these are bushes that will hopefully, it should give me an indication that, anyway, so that's the 0.09 update. So that's pretty awesome. There's a lot, oh, here we didn't even, let me show you a couple of, just a lot of these systems, they're talking. There's two separate systems. I like to think about it like there's two separate systems that are talking to each other, and then one of those systems is creating this little. Um, yeah, I guess it's not setting up the menu correctly. Anyway, so it's like, oh, whoops. So that's interesting. Yeah. Anyway, so that's and but one of the biggest things that's holding us back, I talked about this before. I was thinking about this before, but one of the things, like if you click on the main menu, yeah, we're not saving, but then now there's no way to get back into that game scene, so we just need to hook that up with a. We're not quite sure. The menu is kind of getting a little too big, and yeah, so we need to maybe um, yeah do something with that. Anyway, so that's the future. Oh, okay, so that's the roguelike point oh 0.09 update. So let's talk about some of the future plans, hopefully quickly. These videos are just, yeah, it's like I just talk way too much. Anyway, so some of the future plans we were talking about, it was kind of a future plan, became the current plan, is that we didn't realize that the beta branch was that easy to do, and it was just a matter of setting it up correctly. And we still need to play with it a little bit more to set it up. But one of the things too is like, oh, sorry, getting grabbed. It's so hard to gauge like what you can hear. Me playing with my water bottle instead of, anyway, so one of the things we're talking about is now that we're talking about doing a beta branch, and that was going to be in the .09 update, but it's like, oh, we just pushed it out to the .08 update. And so we could have gone live with the .08 update. We probably should have, but we wanted to test out some more of the beta branch. So anyway, so in a couple, I'm not sure how long. It's hard to determine when a good break-even point. That's part of the future plans. Is like we know. I know personally. Like I just like one of the things that's just a matter of fact. Like if it takes 2 months to come out with a .08, the point is actually .02, but yeah, that's why it took a little bit longer as well. It took we had, because it was a huge live. Now that I think the biggest thing about that is where we've got the roguelike system talking to the RTS. There's a huge code library that is all our projects are behind this. Most of our projects, most of our core projects around this game is they're all talking to this library, which is really awesome, and it's great. Um, anyway, so but if it takes 2 months or 2 or 3 months to come out with from that update to this update, for every update like that, it's just this game is never going to be finished in like maybe a couple of years. And for early access, we've seen games that are forever in early access. We don't want that. We want to get done, work on the game, progress with the game as quickly as possible. So it's sort of that part of that future plans is sort of thinking about how to get out. And the other thing too is pushing out. Some people are talking. One of my programming buddies was talking about the fact that he loves. A lot of people in early access are talking about they want to see quicker updates, and so that's kind of where we're trying to go. And then too, it's like if you're doing devlogs, it's like you want to show progress as well. So it's like I'm not sure what the idea of is going to be every week. It's probably not going to be every other week or definitely not every day, but um, like every other week and a half, or when you sort of make some progress and have something to talk about, I think we'll do a devlog, and we'll continue. It's sort of a channel update. Maybe we'll push that aside, but will continue some of the I will continue some of the video responses and showcasing some of the other projects I've been working on, because I just put 20 hours a day working. I'm a workaholic. Anyway, so part of that future plan is that we'll push out the .09 to the beta, and then from there, the idea is that we're gonna the push out the .08 to the live the live game. It's live, but it's the purchasable, the release, or the full, the non-beta branch. This is, it's basically a live branch, but even though it's not live as in an MMO service. But anyway, so that's kind of the idea, and mostly around coming out with quicker future updates. So maybe we'll hook in the menu for the roguelike to get that out, because we really want to get that out there and sort of give people some feedback on what they think about the roguelike, how that plays out, and versus the selecting the character, and then we need to make it. And then the next update, we maybe should add in the ability. Well, the next sort of piece of that puzzle, I think, is adding the difference, the ability to switch between the RTS to the roguelike. And it's not like RTS and Royal Time Strategy. It's just sort of like the overhead, move anywhere you want, sort of free form camera that which we're calling RTS, which is for various reasons. So hopefully you'll see some of that, and the far future. We need to get to that. Anyway, so oh, do I have? Yeah. So yeah, we have. Yeah, I do have an outro right here. So anyways, oh, here, let me go up. Yeah. Okay. There. Let's go up. Up is better. Just because I thought about, I wanted to showcase that. Anyway, so I'm Micaiah Stevens from Haven Studios. Feel free to email support at havenstudios.net. It's .net. It's the anyways. That's our email address. And then this is the website you can actually go to as well. It's pretty poor, so hopefully it's the 3.0 update. I don't know. It's gonna be a while. Anyway, so this is where we want to end the video here with the Hamlet. It's hopefully you can see a lot of things have changed in the demo promo shot here. So hopefully for the better. I think it has changed for the better a lot. And now if we can get this sort of feeling for it would be really cool, and I think, and so anyways, we're going to try to push out more updates with DevLog. So thanks for checking out the first one, and you definitely, I'm always up for leading comments and feedback, even in the YouTube Micaiah Stevens YouTube channel for the dev. Which I need to sort of differentiate those somehow. But anyways, this is where you're seeing this video most likely is my dev channel. So thanks very much, and let me know what you think, or or your feedback or anything. Happy to hear it. You take care.